Hey everybody, it's good to see you all again. This segment is just to kind of let you guys know what is going on in this episode. So, in this episode, there is a situation. Towards the end, or anywhere in this episode, there is a blank. That means there's no sound coming in the episode, and you might think that is your fault. That is my fault. You can blame me, say it was my fault, because that is an editing problem, and that's because of recording and the recording platform that I use. If that happens to be in the episode, if that's in it, what you need to do is to just disregard it. Don't worry about it. Consider it like an ad break. Consider it like a break. Consider it like we're taking a 5 minute break. Consider it like that. So, no freaking out. No need to worry. Make sure you guys enjoy the episode, enjoy what's in it, and y'all have a good one. And enjoy this one. Really enjoy it and have fun. And please disregard the blanks in there, consider them breaks. Hope you guys enjoy this episode and thank you guys for understanding and for your cooperation. What's up, the entire world? What's up, y'all? Hi, how you guys doing? I am back. I'm back. Actually, I'm always here, so technically I'm not back. I'm always here. Anyway, I'm here with Shaun, excuse me, I'm stuttering. You'll hear that a lot. He's an incredible producer and a composer, and he is joining with us tonight. I'm so stoked and excited. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yes, of course. This is so exciting. This is so cool. And he's also from Australia, so you guys remember I've not done Australia. I haven't done that area in what since I don't know, probably in a year or so. I'm
Wow, there you go.
stoked. I'm stoked. So y'all love producers. You're brand new here, and I allow artists, everybody to just give a little something of themselves. Would you mind doing so?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Um, did you want me to just speak about myself or?
Yeah, that's why I was
Yeah.
implying.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep, sure. So my name is Sean. I'm from Sydney, Australia. I basically make music that tells your story. I work with corporate clients and also work with a lot of youngsters, also in terms of getting them on their feet as a composer. And getting them to understand that music is a type of language that they can also work through with their expression, and it's just a really great time to. I am somebody who's also from an ethnic background, so I'm actually Indian heritage, but I'm from Malaysia. So it's something that I like to work with, especially with a lot of the ethnic communities, because usually when they say when you see somebody from an ethnic community who does creative, it's very unheard of because usually in the ethnic communities, you're either a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, nothing else otherwise. So it's interesting to see for me to be able to work and also I guess defy the odds, so to speak, and be able to just set an example that you can be a creative and still make it work financially as well, and also feel bring a sense of fulfillment to the community around you in regards to music as form of mental health and also working towards just telling stories. I'm a big sucker for stories, so I love what story people bring. Every one of us have different journeys in our life, and I'm excited to see how music can tell that particular story that you are so interested in.
Oh wow, wow, dude, you got a lot going on. Look at that.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. That's incredible, and I love that that you're a huge help to people with ethnic backgrounds. It's really cool and amazing
Oh,
that,
thank you.
that you're a big part of their life. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, that's really huge, dude. It's really huge. That's really incredible that you're doing all
Yeah,
that.
I think sometimes we forget that we want to we put ourselves our aspirations and the things that we want most because it's all about making it work, so to speak. And sometimes I remember there was one statement I was listening to that if you die right now, what will die with you? Your dreams, your ideas, your hopes, any unfinished stories that you had. And I think that's the biggest thing that I don't want to have is that where when I come to my deathbed and I have this feel of regret of like a coulda, woulda, shoulda kind of attitude. So I was actually previously an accountant, and I said to myself I couldn't see myself doing this long term, and I said let's take the plunge and do music full time. And here's my coming to my fifth year now doing music. And actually, just a couple of months ago, I am actually now working for myself. I don't work for any other schools. I just work for my own, which is pretty amazing. I do a lot of teaching on the side, but I've now decided to just go fully solo, which is a learning curve on its own. But I like to always think that there's never a final destination, so to speak. It's always a never-ending journey, and I have to constantly remind myself day by day.
Yes, yes, 100%. And that's like reality. That's like reality. You don't want regrets. You want a successful and fulfilling life. I'm 100% all for it.
There you go.
Yeah. But honestly, I respect what you're doing, and it's incredible what you're doing. I respect all of it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, of course. And actually, I wanted to dive right into, well, story time, I guess. Get it?
Sure.
Story, and you like it's a joke.
Okay.
It's funny. Anyway, I want to jump right into your life because
Yep.
you have such a wild, like, I guess not wild, I guess like a very unique life that you had.
Yeah.
So I want to really know your life story. I want to know, um, basically your life story and what you learned along the way.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I was born in West Malaysia in a town called Kuala Lumpur. I was a second generation Malaysian. Funny enough, both my parents were from either side of Malaysia. So my dad was from West Malaysia, my mom was from East Malaysia, and they basically got met around through arranged marriage, and I was born in Malaysia at the time. My music journey started when I was two in a group lesson in piano, and I've been doing it ever since. But I was the kind of kid, if everyone went left, I would go right. I don't know why, but I just felt like I would want to do something a bit more different. And when it came to my musical journey, I around 10 years. I knew that when I grew up in a notion that music is all about performing. It's all about having those sellout shows, kind of like people you see today, like Katy Perry, Shawn Mendes, and those kind of live gigs and whatnot, where a lot of people buy your tickets and whatnot. So those were the images that I had in my head. But I realized that performing was never my thing because performing was requiring uh, to have some a sheet of music in front of you and you just basically plays what written. I was the kind of kid that if it was there, I'll always give my own ideas and my own input. Why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? And around that time, we're talking around just in the sort of late 90s, early 2000. So around 98, 99, that time. Was when I found myself into this whole activity of composing, and it started with basically an activity with my teacher who said, uh, teaching me a little bit about transposition. And with transposition, it's basically moving from one key to another. I end up doing the whole entire major series scales, which is about seven different keys. And the teacher was like, wow, okay, cool. And I did it all by ear without having to write it down. So I didn't know what I had technically in terms of what would the terms were called, but I knew I had something in me, and I knew that music was uh, an escape or something that I really liked. If whenever I had issues with the world, so to speak, and then so I always kept you doing it music. The only thing that I guess in Malaysia, so music would always be considered as an extracurricular. It was never a recognized subject, so to speak. So if you were to do music, it was either you would either be doing it because you want to try and look good on your resume, or as on your sort of curriculum thing, that you tried something different. So it's always considered as extracurricular, not something that was part of a system like in your education system as a mandatory or a, thing that you would do. And then around late 2002 was when I moved from Malaysia to Sydney, Australia. And life was definitely different then around early 2000s. I had to coming from a society that was predominantly sort of Eastern, and then coming to a more westernized influenced society where English was a main speaking language, and there was a lot of things that was different for me in terms of lifestyle as well. For example, Malaysia doesn't really have a strong public transport service, but in Sydney, Australia, comparatively, it has, like, for example, people take the train, and there's also like buses, there's ferries, and I was like, wow, okay, I can do these things, which is great. Uh, School system was also very different. In Malaysia, you'd have morning sessions and afternoon session, whereas here it's like you start at 9, you finish at 3, and that's pretty much 5 days a week. And then you do all these other extracurricular activities on the side. But one thing that really piqued my interest was the fact that you could do music as a subject in school, and that can be recognized as a formal education, which really, really excited me. So I was lucky enough when I did my high school. Um, I know. So for your listeners, high school here is basically year 7 to year 12. I know you guys in America, you guys got the middle school and high school, which is a little bit more different. But for here, we have the year 7 to year 12, which is our high school, and primary is basically from kindy to year 6. So I came here just as towards the end of my year 7, early year 8. So when I first came here, it was very interesting. Different lifestyle, different ways of doing things. Um, I guess as a young teenager, I was probably around 13, 14 at that time. Uh, Trying to find your position and trying to find your whole, I guess, where do you fit in this whole grand scheme of things, and how much of a chess player, you are and whatnot. How different people that you meet are always teaching you different experiences, whether it be good or bad. I had a lot more to learn. I was always getting myself into trouble because mostly because I there were a lot of things that I really wanted in life which I never got. So, for example, I know being a musician sometimes you can be very you like the fact that a lot of people like you, a lot of people talk to you, and that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of psychological behavioral that I need to sort of understand as a kid as well, and also growing up understanding, uh, things like adolescence and puberty, and law of attraction and all that kind of stuff. So as I was growing up, one thing that felt very constant to me was just about music. I always consistently do music all the way. The other subjects I would always get in trouble with. So whenever it came to parent-teacher night, it was one of those nights that I really did not like because the always comment is that Shaun talks too much. Shaun never sits down. Shaun always talks back to the teacher and all that kind of stuff. Because I felt that in one of the things that I've learned in music is that your ideas is always so special, and it's always you need to have a safe space where you can speak your thoughts and your minds in a more safe way rather than a more sort of abusive way. Because sometimes I feel I went into that spot where whatever was in my head was just come out, and it'll be like verbal diarrhea. So sometimes there was also things like, for example, understanding the social norms. What are things that you should say in public, or what are things you should sort of just be mindful about. Be respectful of your surroundings and whatnot. So I was growing up trying to learn and understand how the world was going through, and as I was growing up, my older brother actually got diagnosed with a tumor, and that was a big mindset shift again in general because I was probably 14, 15, understanding what adversity was, how it was, and I guess not knowing how to respect that everybody has their own sort of journey to go through in life. And being a young kid, I was a middle child, so I've got an older brother and a younger sister. I would always I guess never understood why my parents would never talk to me, or would sort of, I guess, bypass me, so to speak. A very common thing that a lot of people say, they call it the middle child syndrome. I think I had that for sure. um, so it's something that I'm sort of used to, but I've sort of just gotten over it. And as I grew up, I realized that when it came to, so I guess years, I guess 17, 18 years, it was that time of your life where you sort of just go, okay, well, it's time for you to choose. Like, what do you want to do after school? And I said to myself, well, I want to do music. And my parents said to me was, can you put a can you feed a family of five by doing music? And at that time, I remember there was a statement that one of the family friends said, are you gonna work as a quote unquote checkout chick and do that for the rest of your life so that you can pay your bills? Obviously, that person, in today's world, I guess with the pandemic and everything, we know that those people who work in those grocery stores are considered essential, and they are the ones that are helping us going through. So there was a big mindset shift at that time. This was around 2006, 2007. I remember hearing comments like, "Can you put a food on the table? Can you support a family? Can you commit yourself?" The general thinking was, go to school, get a job, get married, have wife, have kids, and that's pretty much it. It was that very sort of perfectly ordained life that was a thing, and you had to do the careers that were considered like important to them. So I knew if my parents came from a generation that you either had to be a doctor or a lawyer. If you do any of those two, it's not considered as like the highest of merit, so to speak. Both my parents are engineers, so they they definitely defied all odds in terms of social sort of constructs, so to speak. Um, so when I decided that I wanted to, so when I said I wanted to do music, I was like, well, okay, there was no clear direction, so to speak, to go with this. So I decided to. My brother was doing accounting at the time, and me and my brother were 15 months apart. So there were times where whatever my parents would do for my older brother, they would also treat me as the same. So, but most of the time, sometimes we would be treated like as though we were two same beings. And then as we grow up, we realize that we were two completely separate people. I'm very, very creative. My brother's very structured. I am more. I'm spontaneous, but I'm also freestyly. I'm more out there. My brother's more sort of like to keep to himself and very different. So there was different personality traits. So I decided, being a young kid, all I ever wanted to do was, as I was growing up, I was already in the bad books of like every teacher's. Um, you know, my parents would never like going to parent teacher interviews because of hearing all the the opposite compliments to what my brother would get. My brother would get like, yeah, he's a good studious boy, and then when he came to Sean was like, yeah, this guy can never sit still. He talks a lot. Always talks back to the teachers. Uh, Talks a lot but never gets the work done. All those kind of comments and things like that. So it was very. Uh, so for me, the biggest thing was getting my parents' approval because as a young kid, the biggest thing that you always want in your life is always your parents to always look at you and say like, you did it, you're great, you're doing okay, you're all right. So I did what would make my parents happy was actually doing what my brother was doing, which is accounting. So I jumped into accounting around 2008. Um, did a little bit of that. It was great. It was fun. But I realized that there was something missing in me. There was a big gap in my life. Um, I said to myself, okay, enough music adventures. It's time to get serious and make a living. And then I realized that I couldn't take music away. It was a part of my life. It was something that I really enjoyed it with. But there was no environment or no curriculum, so to speak, where you could have and to foster these kind of things. Back then, I think that was when Facebook started coming out, and social media was a term of like, what is that term? So I had to sort of understand where I wanted to go with this. So I was doing a lot of music for more. I do meditation at the time. So I was doing this meditation, but I would always use that as a way to foster my musical activities. But then I realized that I wanted to do more of it. I was having this sort of weird personality split, kind of like how Bruce Wayne and Batman has their own sort of split, where I would be Bruce Wayne in my 9 to 5 accounting job, but Batman is the persona that I really adopted and I really love, which is my music persona. And for those of you who are not familiar with the comics, Bruce Wayne is actually just a fake avatar for what Bruce actually wants to be, which is actually being Batman, and Batman is who he really is. So I realized that Batman is more me. I had to do something about it. I involved myself in more and more music things. There was a lot more charity theater productions that was I was being involved, where music was a part of it. I did a lot of gigs here and there, all again in the name for charity, just getting. But then I was like, I wanted to do more of it. It was so much so that I actually got myself let go from a job because I spent a lot of time doing other things than doing my actual accounting job. And also, it led me to a position where I wasn't doing well at my studies in university for accounting. Not sure which direction to go. The subjects would not really interest me. I would be there physically, but my mental being was just somewhere else. And then I realized halfway through that this wasn't for me. I failed so many times that I actually got suspended and expelled from the university. And also, with the jobs that I was with, I actually was asked to leave because I was just not performing well enough. And that made me realize that there was a lot of things that I had to do and work out, a lot of soul searching. And then I realized that was my time to start looking into this music thing and start understanding how can I make it work? How can I, if I wanted to do this, how can make sustainable living? How can I still do the things that a lot of people aspire to, where is that, getting married, having kids, being a parent, have a house, have a car, all that kind of stuff. Because I know I would always see in the music world, it's either you achieve platinum status, which is like the rich of the rich, or you become the starving musician. There's no in between. Um, and this is the mindset that I had to really, really learn because you can still make a living and still be sustainable, but you don't have to be the next, the next child prodigy, so to speak, and whatnot. But you can still do okay. So that was an interesting thing to work through. And then when I looked up for people that I considered as role models, there was not really a lot of people around. And I was asking myself, like, that shouldn't be that's a big issue right there, and that's a big hole because what if they're younger people than me? I knew people who were already married and they have their own kids, and what are the type of role models are we setting up for them? Who are they going to look up to? For example, if a young person from my community wants to become a music composer and do that for a living, who would they model their life on? Would they model of somebody famous, or would they model for somebody that they know who it's within their own community, and whatnot? And that maybe ask myself to go, what should I be doing? And then I asked myself, I said, I liked my composing. I liked the idea of making music. I knew in my hardest of hearts that if you drop me into this ocean of uh, the music world, I will find my way. But where that way was, I'd have no idea. I had to sort of think about that a bit more. And what was the interesting thing was, getting the right people, getting mentors, getting people who are actually in the industry who are not the famous are famous, but just the common person like that we know. Could be somebody that you just walk past on the street, and that could be the next a music composer that you probably know or never heard of. And that was the thing that excited me. So I worked with a great man by name of Henrik Dib. He really mentored me all the way, and I had lessons with him. And around late 2015 was when I decided to myself and said, "All right, let's take the plunge and let's make it work. And let's leave this safe, secure job and go be a musician." And at that time, I had about 3 months before I started my course here in Sydney, Australia. And I also had an opportunity to audition in London. So I took the biggest opportunity in my life and went traveling in so many different countries in the world. I went from London to South Korea to India, to India for a friend's wedding, and I went down south to visit my grandparents. Then I went to uh, around sort of Christmassy time. I went to Goa, which is more eastern side of India, and then after that I went to Vietnam for New Year's. And then I went to Malaysia after that. Then I went to Thailand, and then I came back to Sydney just right in time for my first day of uni. And that was an amazing travel thing that I went through. I experienced a lot of things. I learned a lot about myself. Um, I can safely say to myself that I did a lot of things that I never thought I would, but I gave it a crack. Um, and as I went through this journey of music, I learned a lot more myself about how it's about you and just the different onion peeling sort of things that I went through, um, revealing about yourself, about how how much you have to put yourself and I guess a little bit about yourself into the work that you do. I'm a big believer of whenever you create something, a part of you is in that. So uh, that's the kind of legacy that you would leave. And going back to my statement of hearing where if you die, what are you leaving with you? The fact that I really enjoyed that when I leave this earth, I know the fact that people will still listen to my music. Why do people still listen to Bach and Mozart when they're long gone in hundreds and hundreds of years ago? And that's the best thing that I could ever ask for myself is that when I move on from this plane of existence, I know that people will still remember me for my music more than anything else, and that's how they feel alive with that. And that I feel is the best way to live with your life. For me, a lot more learning journey is just the fact that understanding myself, breaking down the walls within myself, realizing that I was mostly angry with myself and not angry with every other people, and being accountable to myself and making sure that I am owning up to things rather than running away from things. And at the end of the day, just showing up. It's funny, I've got on my wall over here, I've got these little six affirmations that I write over here. And the six affirmations are basically commit, show up, step up, forgive, keep going, don't stop. And I repeat that six affirmations every single day so that I remember the journey that I go through. Commit myself, show up every day, step up my game, forgive myself for any mistakes that I make, and just keep going and don't stop. And that's the motto that I live by. And here I am in my second month trying to be fully fledged, fully solo, doing my own thing. And now I work with people who, especially in my community, they realize that there is a creative Indian amongst us. Oh my God, this is great, wonderful. And I'm so lucky to have an opportunity to jump on podcasts like these ones to be able to share stories, because I think it's important to know that you can go for what you want, and you also got to give yourself the permission to get that, but don't ask permission from somebody else to go do what exactly that you want to do. Listen to your heart, listen to your intuition. It's the most scariest things out there, and sometimes there'll be a lot of naysayers out there. Prove them wrong. I'm somebody who would never take no for an answer. I'm always someone who'll take yes for everything. I will always find a way no matter what. And if there's anything that doesn't work, I know that I only have myself to blame through. But here I am, making it work, and looking forward to what the next couple of years or decades hold for me, I suppose.
Yeah, I got, oh, I'm all over the place.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's I just didn't expect all that. No offense, but I just didn't. Like, that was like a book. It's like you wrote a book about your life and you just read it as a chapter.
Yeah.
But seriously though, I'm deeply moved. You can't tell, but I'm deeply moved. And ultimately, this really shows that music was the right path for you, because I can see that
Mm,
you've tried many things. You tried accounting, you tried to live up to your parents' expectations and I guess the culture's expectations, and you ended
mm.
up breaking boundaries and being your own person, which I'm all here for. That's very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. That's really huge that you
Yeah,
did all that.
yeah. Uh, I'm still amazed, but like I said, it's all a learning journey, and I'm here to learn and grow. That's all I want to do.
Well, you're doing a good job. I mean, you're doing
Thank you.
good. Yeah, of course, of course. And I love what you're doing. I love that you broke boundaries and now you got this whole career going and you made a mark for yourself, which I'm very happy for you about that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, of course. 100%. Oh, this is gonna be good. Let's jump into more. I'm sorry. My tongue's being so mean to me.
Oh,
He's being rude. Now let's jump into music.
yep,
Um, we know about your life. You
yep,
went on. We know. Um, but now I want to know, and since you produce and compose, you can say both if you want. Um, so I want to know from you, like when you're producing and composing, what is the way that you produce? What is the way you compose? And what's your whole process of doing those things into, finishing a project?
yeah. That's a very great question. So when I go in this journey, uh, first and foremost, I'm really interested. Like I said, I love stories. I really love the stories, different people and the way they journey to go through. I always listen to what is the story that's being told. I remember the project I was working on. It was a project about the Holocaust, and I wasn't really well versed. Um, Side note, I'm not a big history buff, but I do like a little bit of history here and there. So I had to really do my own research in history and understanding how it works and all that kind of stuff. So I had to sort of understand how it all works. So I do take a lot of time to. I feel like with music, there's always non-musical elements that helps us understand and gives us word that will help us give us a summation of what would be a particular track that we listen to. So, for example, we have any adjectives. So it could be a particular song that we listen to, and it has um, a great feeling, or like that kind of like ecstatic, jumping off of a cliff kind of feeling, that sort of like adrenaline rush, so to speak. And then there's the sad of like rip your heart out kind of sad and stuff. So there's like different ways to metaphorically explain the music element, and that's the beauty about music. So one of the things that I first do is I first understand the context of which the event or topic that's being explored over here. For example, going back to my example of learning about the Holocaust, I had to study that a bit more, and I did a lot of research and readings, and also talking to a lot of friends who are in that sort of the big history buffs, and really understand that journey a bit more. And then from there, I sit down. I've got my trusty grand piano. Not really grand piano. Sorry, it's the upright piano that I have on my left over here. I just jump on it and I start playing some chords. What will be the first thing that come in my head, and then start playing around with some ideas here and there. And then from there, I jump straight into the computer. For me, I use the Mac, so I open up my Logic Pro session and I start, I guess, what they say, lay some bars down, as they say, and then go from there. It's just a matter of trial and error, and then see how it goes from there. And then whether does that give me close to it. So what I do is from the non-musical study that I take, I come up with some different keywords that help me explain the topic a bit more. So, for example, it could be, and I'm not looking for like very, cliche kind of words. Like some people say, "Oh, dynamic, vigilant, and outstanding," and I'm like, well, those are very very platonic words. I'm looking for actual metaphorically descriptive words, words that can really paint a particular image in your head, so to speak. If you had to put a movie scene to it, that would be the best way to really understand it. So I would jump on it, I would play around with it, and then see how it goes from there. start thinking of the melody, start thinking of maybe the chords that would go with it. Um, I work with a lot of people who they'll go to me, here's my track, here's the thing that I work on, can you make it a magic? And I'll be like, cool, yeah, no worries. And sometimes it can be like, you know, the audio is the audio is just straight from the phone, so it's a lot of like peaking here and there. The voice is not like the person who sings it, you know, probably they haven't warmed up, so to speak, and things are not, you know, on the grid, they're not lined up. So what I do is I understand what's going on, and then after that I start, you know, just trial and error. But then sometimes I get into a crossroad to decide which way I want to go. If I'm working with somebody, I always tell them there are two ways, or there are ways you can go with this, and I let them make the decision. I would give my 2 cents about it, but at the end of the day, when I'm working with somebody, or for example, if I'm working with a client, um, they're paying the money, so it's important that they feel that they have a say of what kind of vibe and what kind of feel they want to go through. So I always listen to what they want. I'll give them my 2 cents, but I'll say to them, this is what I think it is, but at the end of the day, it's your call. So you tell me which way you want to go, and then I'll do it that way. Um, and then we keep working through it a bit more. And then once I send them the final product, they'll be like, "Yep, this sounds really great. Cool, done. Okay, just share it, and then, you know, and then see how you go from there." And then that's how it is. But for my own personal one, usually like I do have different projects that I work on. Like for example, a track that I'm doing at the moment, I'm trying to do a bit more of a Halloween inspired track, because I know Halloween is coming up in about 4 weeks time ish.
Hmm.
You know, trying to do something like that, learning how to always step outside the boundaries. I've never done something like this, which is really cool. I've listened to a lot of Halloween inspired music, but never actually made that kind of stuff because, first and foremost, I'm not a big horror person. I don't like horror films. I generally don't, and I don't really have an interest for thriller. My partner always drags me, and she tries to find ways to sneak a horror movie whenever we do like movie time together. And I'll be like, nope, 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 that ain't happening. I'm walking away. But I know that I also have to. I also know that I have to, you know, part of a music composer, I have to learn how to be open to things and, you know, bring out different emotions. I know a lot of my friends in the field. They say that horror is actually a really awesome genre to write music for because you bring out so much different uh, attributes, but you also musically challenge yourself. And you can bring things like sound design. You can bring things like with the cool thing of technology, you can play around with automation, so to speak, and whatnot. So you can make it sound like it's swelling, like a Doppler effect kind of sound. You can create your own sound. You can sample in sounds and things like that. So that's the amazing thing about the, you know, doing kind of thing. But for me, I'm always looking for ways to challenge myself from the last project. So if there are things that I haven't done, I want to try and do it and just make it a bit more interesting. And that's the way I go.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. That's cool. That's cool. I like that you went in depth with how you do it. That's really
Oh,
cool.
thanks.
Yeah, of course. Ooh, that's awesome. And clearly the process is working because you're making incredible music that draws attention.
Yeah. Well, I like to think that because you know, I can always say that I'm the greatest at that, but it's best to it's better to have other people who can validate my statement because otherwise I'll sound like an egocentric person, wouldn't I?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you have a good point.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, you should really have people back you up if you're gonna say you're the best. You can't just say
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no one
And
listens to you.
also the thing is like I always say that it's better to get from somebody who is not within your inner circle, so to speak, because I I remember one time my mentor said to me like, you know, just because your mom says that you're the best at that, that means that you are like, you know, make it and whatnot. I'm like, oh, what? Like, you know, I understand that, but I think it really makes sense when somebody else who's not directly, you know, have a close affiliation to you, know that you have a great job. You do a good job, not just on the music side of things, but just being professional as well. So that's the thing that I really look for whenever I do my work because yeah, everyone can say that they're great, but it's important to get that other person who they can speak of without you having to open your mouth and say you are good at what you do, that they say you are good at what you do. So that's the best thing that I really admire for.
Yes, yes. And I wish people wouldn't say they're the best because if you don't have fans, if you don't have people that support you, there's really no point of calling you the best.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the term being the best is also very subjective, right? It also depends on how you measure what
Yeah.
being the best at what you do is, isn't it? So
It,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, they make the term so like exclusive because the best could mean anything.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So like for me, my terms of being the best is how much value are you giving to the community around you? How because again, we live in a world of social media where people are consuming content, on their phone or on the computer. So how much value are you giving, whether it be monetary or not? And also like, are you challenging the conversations that are out there and making people think a lot more about what's happening? I think that's the way for me being the best. And also at the end of the day, like for you to look at as a creative, we're very hard on ourselves a lot. We're always we are our harshest critics. So I learn, for me to be the best at something is being able to emotionally detach myself and listen to this piece of music and go, oh, this is great. And then suddenly you realize, oh, wait, it's actually my work. Oh, okay, this is wonderful. And that's the
Yes,
best thing out there. So, yeah.
yes, yes, yes. 100%. 100. 100. It makes pretty good points. It's
Yeah.
pretty good ones. I like this.
Oh, that's good.
Um, Now this look, excuse me, I'm sorry. My brain's on fully. That's why I'm like this. A lot of fans are loving what you're putting out. The fans were wondering, and I also wonder if there's anything more that we can look forward to from you.
Hmm. Great question. I guess I would say stay tuned, because I do have a couple of things coming out. One of the things that I'm trying to work towards to is actually, as opposed to making music, I'm very passionate about the education of the music, of teaching somebody how to, I guess, adopt the craft. So one of the things I'm actually looking towards to is actually making a course that teaches people how to be a composer. Um, you know, the steps, the know-how, some of my workflows, some of my things that I've learned, some of my approaches. How do you take something that you listen to and go, how can I make something of my own? That's one thing that I'm releasing. In terms of my music in general, uh, I can't say exactly because like my next project is actually working in a Halloween inspired track. Then obviously moving forward, my next thing that I want to work to is I guess no better time than now is actually talking about New Year's, making a track that's inspired for the New Year's. Um, trying to go for the seasonal kind of tracks because I've never written music for seasonal. It's always the music that I always written for is for either for a film based project or if it's for a sometimes like a commercial project. So, for example, I did one recently for um, a client of mine who made music for her parents' passing. So she wanted to do a song in dedication to them. Trying to get more into that space. But I always say the world's my oyster, and I want to work towards that a bit more. And I would say just either keep in touch with me on the socials, keep in touch with me on. You can definitely send me an email. I'll definitely reach out and say hello to you. But those are things that I'm working towards too, which I'm really excited to share for sure.
Awesome! I'm so stoked. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. This is all so amazing. Oh, sorry, I'm not groaning at you. I'm just stretching.
Okay, that's a go.
So if you thought that I was frowning, I'm not. All right. Let's get a little more fun. This will replace your showcase. This will be a good replacement.
Oh, cool.
Um, What I do sometimes for my guests is I do a switch interview, and it's a chance for them to ask me anything or dare me any. Well, dare means to ask me anything, or dare me to do anything or ask me anything. So, yeah, you can ask me anything you want, anything.
Yeah, sure. I guess. Uh, that's a really interesting one. Have you ever had somebody on your podcast that has challenged the way you understand or think about things?
You mean like challenging, like kind of posing ideas about how I think about
Kind of,
things?
but just in general. But like say for example, where it becomes a sort of a discussion, but it becomes more of it has changed your perception of certain things.
Yeah, I've had that many times.
Okay, all right.
I've had it many, many times. It's happened. I think it happened with Hawk Life, a person I interviewed a while back.
Mm,
It happened with um, Galapogemelia and these two duo from the group that
yeah.
happened, and actually an unreleased interview that happened that I decided not to release. It's an unreleased one that I decided to not release. So it has happened many times during the show, and it actually has become helpful.
Okay, wonderful. How have you dealt with that, if you don't mind me asking, like in terms of mentally after having that sort of series of events happen? Has it been a positive learning experience for you? Has it been negative? I mean, I'm not sure if I'm
Oh,
breaking my quota of the
oh
questions.
no, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm actually loving these. I love in-depth questions. I love it. So Um, I always look on the positive side of things.
Sure.
So every interview I take as a learning opportunity for me.
Mm,
That's partially why this show even started, so I can learn more about everybody. Because
mm.
I'm growing as a person. I'm a songwriter too. So,
Nice.
oh yes. So through the show, I've noticed that every single interview, I learn something, and
Sure.
it doesn't really necessarily have to be just I guess about that person.
Yeah.
I get to learn stuff about the world, and about communities and about different countries. I have told people, but I've done people from around the world. I've done Mexico, I've done Canada, I've done India, Romania, Australia, yes, sir.
Nice.
Italy, the UK, London is a very popular one.
Oh
People love
yeah.
the UK. And of course, my very own United States.
There you go.
So when I interview somebody that's not from the US, and actually everywhere really, I take it as a learning opportunity. That's
Oh,
why
wonderful.
I make it a conversation because it's really a conversation. I don't really treat it like an interview, like if I was just randomly asking you questions like a job interview.
Yep.
More like a conversation, because that's what we're here for. When those times come up, though, I take it as a learning thing. When I have to do
Mm,
thinking like that, it reminds me of what I have to work on as a podcaster because we're not all perfect. I'm still learning. I've only done the show for a year, so
yep.
and the show also allows me to learn more as a podcaster and learn more about technology. It allows me to learn more really about myself too. So,
Nice.
to answer your question, I take every interview as a learning thing for me, and I take it adds to my portfolio. Portfolio. Sorry, I can never say that word. Damn it, I
No,
can't.
it's all good.
I can never say it right. But you get the point.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. It's good to see because I sometimes find I come across people who um they take it very personally and they take it in a way where I've seen healthy arguments, but I've also seen I've also seen arguments that go pear shaped where people will go, "Okay, I'm done. I'm never coming back to this thing." End call. Bye.
Oh yes,
That
yes,
kind of thing.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's really terrible and depressing because you really don't need to go that personal with people. You really don't have to go that personal.
Yeah, yeah,
Like people don't
100%.
understand that you can't go that personal with people, with people like that, because people in the world, there's going to be jerks everywhere you go in your life.
Yes.
There's going to be jerks and idiots and people that don't respect others and rude
Mm-hmm.
people. You
Mm.
can't do anything about it. You can't be personal. You can't let those things stop you from your life, because you can't stop them from being jerks and haters, because we're in the world now where you can say anything you want to. The First
Yep.
Amendment even says the freedom of speech. So
There you go.
you get to say anything you want to, and nobody can stop you from saying anything. Instagram, Facebook, they can only block. They can't stop you physically, though, from not saying shit. Like, they can't stop you. They can't force you to not do it. Nature can't force you. Like, people are
Mm-hmm.
going to say stuff. So that's why it's petty and ridiculous, and it's bullshit. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's all good.
It's ridiculous. That people do that, and
Yep.
it's really sad to me. That's really sad. It's really depressing to see that you will go as low as, like, personal.
And like name calling and whatnot. Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
why these artists are very successful, because trust me, every single musician, producer, anybody with musical talent has had haters. I've had some,
Mm-hmm.
you've had some. Everybody has some type of hater on social media or even in person. You
Yep.
can't do anything about it. All you can really do is just keep going and move on. That's what I've been doing. I mean, there's been moments where people has put me in arguments. I have had one.
Right.
In fact, Lee, since we've been close, since you and I have been closely in this, I'm going to show you this, because
Okay.
since we talk about arguments, I'm going to show you this one time, and this is a very big one.
Okay.
I did a virtual concert. It's called, excuse me, I did the, actually, let me start from the very beginning. You remember Hawk Life, right? The person I mentioned.
Yep. Yep.
Well, him and I did a concert together. It was called TGIF Music Festival, right?
Okay.
It was not as successful as we thought it was going to be. So I came back a month ago with another concert with a duo named Immortal Being, which they're from Canada, so they're from like across the world,
Yep.
from Canada at least. Um, I did a concert with them, and apparently information was passed on to think that I didn't respect Hawk Life at all for what he was doing, and I was like backstabbing. And so he got very upset with that, and I kept telling
Oh.
him that I support him, and he still wouldn't believe me. And then he dragged my friends into it, and they got upset, and he been getting more and more haters, and he's been hated because people saw him getting sexual. Um, they caught him being, having sexual actions with a 16-year-old, calling him a pedophile, and
Uh.
he's been getting those kind of haters. But someone you're working with, can you imagine that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone you're working with, and then weeks later, you see them moving on, and you apparently think they're a backstabber. That's like, that doesn't play with me. So I was like very upset that day.
Oh
Uh, I
wow.
had that's I had so much nonsense thrown at me for nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. That all thrown at me for nothing. And the word, well, not really the words. Another thing that my friends were torn into it. And it caused them to get hurt too. And he caused this whole thing to occur just because of me, moving on. And it's not like I don't hate Hawk Life. Hawk Life is an amazing person. If it wasn't for him, then the concert wouldn't have happened. But it's like he thinks of me as backstabbing only because I moved on and did something else and did a more successful show than he did. And that same guy, we're doing a virtual concert at
Mm-hmm.
the end of October during Halloween. So it's like, and then I had to stop minimizing because then people were getting upset with me for even communicating with him in the first place. So
Mm.
it's like, he was like a very bad person. And I've had
Wow.
people like that. I've had haters criticize me. I've heard people call me a scammer, apparently. I've had that too on Facebook. I had people scam me because I would ask them for interviews and they say, "You're a scammer, fuck off." And I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've had people like that. I heard people say I'm gay and my voice sounds weird. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, yeah,
No one
right.
cares.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. So just to go along with what you've been asking me, I'm sorry if it's long and lengthy.
No, it's good.
Oh, thanks. Those things happen.
Yeah,
But I couldn't let him get into my head like that
yeah,
because when people people I don't know if people say it, but when your heart's broken, it's broken.
yeah,
Like once your heart's broken, it's you can't fix it anymore. If you lost someone you love, if you lost your family member, if you lost your mom or your dad, if you lost someone because of COVID,
yeah,
that's heartbroken. If I lost say my parents was their life still, my heart would be broken.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
it's gonna be broken and nothing can fix it. um,
That's true.
People also say that you can't fix a broken heart once you can try a million flowers and it still won't fix a broken heart. So, I have been heartbroken many
Mm-hmm.
times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can't really get personal. I have to keep going because I have to still do this. I have to still keep going and help people like you. I have to still do this. Like, I can't just do this because I'm one person. We're talking
Yeah.
about 7 billion people in the world.
There
You
you
can't
go,
just
right?
focus on that one person.
Mm. It's funny you say that because I think every bad experience has taught us things, right?
Yes.
It's shaped us in our thinkings. It's also allowed us to uh, I
Yeah.
guess
Yes.
one thing I've learned from this game, the God of War, the 2018 version. Um, there's a line that Kratos says. Um, I can't remember for the life of me. Oh yeah, he's talking to his son, and he says, "A broken quiver will slow you down. Pain we endure. Faulty weaponry, we do not. This will do for now." And then he says, "You
Yeah.
good? Okay, go." And that statement resides in me so much because uh, pain is something that we go through, and like we can either choose to um, accept it or let it define us, like what you said, having somebody live in your space rent free, or are you just gonna like take that as a learning experience, accept it, and then move on? And
Yeah.
I really like your philosophy of like, you know what, these things are going to make it break you, but I'm not going to let it break you. And there are 7 billion people in the world that you start looking at the bigger picture rather than like the small picture. And I think it's interesting. I also was listening to another. I was listening to this is on social media, and someone was saying before, it's like they said that it's actually very selfish of you to think that their opinion or what they feel is the reason why you wouldn't push yourself to the next level. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean by being selfish? Like, isn't it right? Because that's how I feel it. I was like, well, if you want to achieve that bigger picture, it's you got to put aside like what you're feeling and whether like are you getting a lot of out of it and things like that, and stop looking at yourself more and start looking at like what kind of greater good are you going to achieve by doing this. Obviously there's yourself in there, it's the most important thing, but and I think that's the thing that relates back to being doing music. A lot of people make music hoping that it's their one-way ticket to be like the next Dre or the next Eminem or the next Hans Zimmer or whatnot. And I say, well, those people exist already. We want you. We don't want another a person that's already there. And that's where you gotta create because you like to create, but you also want to share the story. The intention has to be from a right place. If you share it from a wrong place, it's like, well, then don't do it. Like, all honesty, so yeah, but yeah, it's interesting that you say that. It's very very interesting. But yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I think everybody should know. And I want to just back up what I said. And yeah, what you said is right. And overall, we just have to move on. And pain's like a part of life. Everybody goes through it, and everybody goes through a broken heart. Everybody has some type of, pain, but we have to move on because we still have to live life. That's the thing about pain also. It's a teaching. Like you said, it's a learning thing, but yeah, it's a learning thing. It teaches you to it actually challenges you too.
Mm,
Pain actually challenges you to see how you react to pain
yeah.
and what are you gonna do? Because let me just say that some people are just they're just so dramatic and they go into this whole phase when they lose somebody or if they have a breakup. And
Mm,
it happens to people. And then you got some people with common sense and they're like, okay, I took a deep breath, I've taken it all in, I'm ready to go back to my life. So it's
mm,
like a test, it's almost like a test almost someone when something bad happens to you, you have pain. It kind of also is a test to just see like how you're gonna react to this, because um, as scientists, because every action has a reaction too.
yep.
So that's just proven in life and in science. So whatever how you go about pain determines how the rest of your life goes. If you're that kind of person who moves on, you'll get to live the rest of your life with opportunities. If you just stick in your little box, being sad, you'll never get to experience life yourself, and you're gonna die with pretty much no backing up at all.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, it's very insightful, and thank you for sharing that. I know it takes a lot for you to do it, so I really applaud you for doing that.
Yeah, of course. This was a very serious thing to ask. I really do appreciate you.
No worries.
Oh, I'm loving this. Come on, give me some more.
uh, what else? I don't know. I think you've given it quite a lot, to be honest. I think that's already a lot to unpack already. So
That's okay. Ask away. I have the rest of the night. Come on. It's okay.
yeah, yeah, sure. I guess my question to you, I've been really into a lot of like self help and also mindset training a lot for myself into understanding myself a bit more. One of the things that I actually have openly struggled with is sometimes handling rejection. I recently started for a competition, which was a film scoring competition, and I remembered for an entire month, I kept telling myself, "I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna win it." And then when it came to the actual day, um, it didn't happen. I didn't even make anything. Not even run out. Not even the winner. Um, and I had a bit of a, I guess, existentialism crisis of like asking myself, "What am I doing this though? Why am I composing? Why am I doing all that kind of stuff?"
Oh,
You can say it's a moment of you question everything. Why are you doing this for? um,
right.
I guess the question I wanted to ask you: have you ever driven yourself to a point where you've questioned yourself as to why you're doing this? Like, is it all worth it and that kind of stuff? And
Yes.
how did you pick yourself back up and go, let's get back into it and let's get the show going? Because there are going to be days where it takes everything out of you, like and you lose yourself in the process. I always have this image in my head. It's like you need to be steamrolled in order to and surrender yourself to everything to make sure that your achievements and your what you desire and what you aspire to uh, is as fulfilled, or you've done the best that you could. But then when you realize that the best that you could is not actually the best that you could, how do you wrestle through that turmoil, and how do you wrestle through all of that to then find yourself and pick yourself back into it? Like it took me actually almost a week, actually almost a week and a bit to get back into it again and open up my session. I think when I said I was working a Halloween project, I was talking about this a while ago, but actually for 2 weeks I didn't even touch any composing. I was too scared to do it because I was like, what's the point? And I kept asking myself what I'm doing. I eventually said to myself like, screw this. You know what enough of this sort of rejection stuff. And I had a lot of sort of tough love conversation with my mentors. I would like to ask you, how have you dealt with sort of the pain, the rejection, and when you've given everything and then you realize like, is it all worth it? And then finding yourself back again and trying to get back yourself into this, I guess, back on the saddle and giddy up and get going and whatnot. Yeah, I would like to ask if you've had something similar like that and see what have you dealt with it and what kind of mindset priming do you do for yourself to keep yourself back into it.
Good question. Okay. I've had that many times. I've had in two different
Yeah.
kind of cases, with podcasting and with music. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
into music first. With songwriting, when I first put out music, when I first put it out, you know, um, honestly, I was young at the time and I was not like ready. I was like jumping into wanting to ask people. And then I got responses like, you got to get better and this stinks. To me, that hurt a lot, but I had to think about it. It took me like a day or two to kind of get it off my shoulder. And I had to question, like, is songwriting worth it? Is it worth doing all this? And I had to think back and think, like, musically, you got to get your head straight. It's just reviews. And I realized that reviews are a part of life. So when somebody criticizes you, I learned that day that criticism is very important. It's important to me whenever people has said about my show. They said what could be worked on. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work on that. Thank you.
Mm.
And also with the podcast. So when my other friends started their own show, firstly, what I used to feel is like jealous. I used to feel jealous, like,
Yeah.
oh no, you're gonna do better than me. And I had questioned like, is podcasting worth it? And I've also thought about that when I got back from work and I still have to do podcasting. I still have to do it. I get back here at 3. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I have an interview in an hour, so I have to shower and I have to prep and then get ready. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like, is it worth it anymore? Like,
Yeah.
it is it worth my time? And when listens got declined sometimes, it's like, is that worth it? When
Yeah.
your friends, they don't support the podcast anymore, they don't care about it, it's like, that's but you know what, I would never take a week to figure that out. i have
Mm.
to I have to remember that this is life, and
Mm.
these disappointments, and these things that happen, I can't let it sink through me. I
Yeah.
can't let that happen because I have to still have this life.
Mm.
Everybody has a purpose and a reason why they're here. You know that.
Mm.
Everyone knows that. You're here for a specific reason. You are built with a purpose in your life. Everybody is born with a purpose, with a mindset, of what they want to do with their life. Everybody's given a chance at life. That's
Mm.
true for every single damn person. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
and I know you know.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's given a chance, and there's many different things you can go with that. um,
Yeah.
it's many different things with that. But overall, I can't let it sink in because remember, I
Sure.
need to live my life. When I was born, God from up above, put all these things in me and wanted me to do these things. He wanted me to do these things. He already knew that I was going to do this before I even was interested. He knew that I was going to do this whole show
Mm.
before it even happened. Before Rapid Out happened, he knew that it was going to happen.
Right.
So I have to think back and remember that I still have to keep going. So I have to let it just fly away. I just had to let it just fly away and just let it go away because
Yep.
you can't let those things get to you. And that's the same thing I said earlier. You can't let those things get to you. You have to let it pass by. You have to let those things go. You have to let them pass by because you have a mission and a job to do, and the job is to experience and live life. So you can't
Mm,
let those little things stop you because you have a whole future and life ahead of you.
mm, 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 mm. Wow, that was cool. That was really cool.
Oh, thanks. I'm sorry. It's just you're asking a lot of deep questions, and I'm just wow. This is like I've never done interviews like this before. That's deep. So you really let out a different side of me.
No, I think it's one of my things that I'm learning at the moment, and it's cool to hear from someone as to how they go through their own sort of. I always say that being a musician is sometimes it's a very personal journey. So and it's a lot of onion peeling moments, and there is a lot of things to unpack from that. And it takes a lot for somebody to really just accept that there are things that they have in them, whether they're happy with it or not, and and I guess work through it
Yes.
and then
Yes.
work with it and then go from there and see if
Yes.
this is their that's what they want. And I think if the mission is still true and what they want to be at, then no matter what, they'll still do it. It's not about whether you feel like doing it or not. It's just you do it. You just go through it. So and that's something that I'm trying to learn because I guess I have primed myself based on the ideology that I will only do things if I feel like doing, and then I realized that that can only get me so far. Whereas, if you do it, even if in those days that are like, you feel crap and you feel like you don't want to do it anymore, those are the biggest gems that you get from. I remember when I first did my first ever film score, I had a very big argument with my brother at the time, and and we were not talking. And I sat down, I was producing my music, and I sent the demo over to the film director, and it ended up being his favorite thing that he kept playing over and over again. And it actually led me to being nominated in a film festival, which is the first big time for me. But it's funny how and I was actually hearing this from a friend, and they said that all the greatest composers drew their inspiration and got their best works from like the darkest moments of their life. uh, as much as I hate it, I hate that statement because I want to try and also say that you can also be in a good place in your life and also draw from something great to help you write a particular music, regardless of the emotion. Um, but they always say that the best form of diamonds comes from the amount of pressure that you have to push through. I was listening to this person, Eric Thomas. He's known as the ET, the hip hop preacher, and he talks about how diamonds are made by the highest amount of pressure, and it's when you get pushed over to new limits is when you start shining up. And it's funny, like whenever I share to all. I was just having a catch up here in Sydney, Australia. We're still in that sort of lockdown phase where everything's sort of restricted, not much movement and stuff like that. Um, and everybody, I know a lot of people who lost businesses, lost families due to the pandemic. They're over their work. They don't like the whole working from home. They're over watching the screen. They feel like they have nothing to look forward to. And then when I share my story, they're like, "Oh wow, you're like the complete opposite to everybody I've met." And I'm like, I just go, "That's just isn't that normal?" And then I was thinking to myself, like, and that's the thing that we learn, right? When we get pushed to different corners, and the pandemic has made us push where, for example, like I'm having this conversation with you. on your side of the world and I'm on this side of my world. You know, it's 10:25 here, and you know you're sort of finishing off your day on Tuesday. You know, the wonders of doing things like this is wonderful. You know, never in a lifetime I would actually consider doing something like this, but here we are, and here we are doing it, and it's allowed us to challenge things and to move through things, and it's allowed forced us to adapt in a good way, obviously. But it's amazing to see how different people adapt to things and um, work through the pressures that they have. And even if they don't feel like it, at the end of the day, it's a matter of personal choice and it's a matter of what you want to do. You know, you're in the driver's seat and you decide where you want to take the car to go, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%. 100. 100. Good points, good points. I definitely am for 100%. I'm loving this. You got anything else in that tank?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think I got a lot of nuggets for myself. I'm gonna have an amazing time now during the day, just reflecting on this conversation that we've had. I think it's really awesome,
Yeah.
and I thank you for sharing what you shared. It's really cool. Really nice to see how different people adapt and work through their own issues, and also how they approach themselves. And that's the thing that I love about the industry that we're in. We get to um, see how other people approach the way they do
Yes.
things and learn from it, and you know, take from it. And you know, we gotta support each other rather than be like, you're my, I'm gonna cut your grass to make my living. Whereas we're like, well, you know, have the camaraderie if anything. So yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. 100%. 100%. I'm with you all the way.
Thank you,
And
that's good.
I know earlier you mentioned about teaching. Do you have you ever thought about wanting to go back to teaching?
That is actually how I'm doing my livelihood at the moment. So the composing thing is something that I haven't 100% make a full living of. I am still teaching. I do teach currently at the moment a lot of students with mostly all within Australia, and in Sydney itself. And something that I really find a way to give back to the community, just to, for example, you know, just really exciting things to see where I can go from here. So then, like I said, the next thing that I'm wanting to do is actually try to make a course and be able to give it to young people, because I thought to myself, if I had something like this when I was growing up doing my composing things, um, I think my journey would have been a little bit more. I would understand the techniques and I would just have to perfect it and get better. When I first started out my composing thing, first of all, composition was a term that only if you're a musician, or if you're a true musician. So when I say true musician, as in like you understand or you studied it, you know what that means. In the general public, they'll be like, "What's a composer?" Or producer, or does that mean like you have to produce like, and they think like producers like, you know, producing rap beats and stuff like that, or trap beats, and I was like, not really. So there was a lot of not just educating the students that I work with, but educating the community in general. So whenever people were giving me opportunities, they were giving me performance opportunities, which were never really like, I like it, it's great, but it's not something that I market myself out there. I market myself more like I make my own stuff, and this is my music. Here it is, have it, and do whatever you want. So it was interesting to, so the space that I'm trying to do a bit more with the teaching is teaching my students more about, you have a space that you belong. You don't have to be the best performer out there. Even if you're most shy introverted person out there, you can be in your room and still do your own music and release the greatest music out there, and still be considered as a musician, rather than having to like think that, oh, I need to perform it live or go on a live stream to show that I'm a musician. You can even just appeal them based on the what you hear. um, and that's the thing that I'm trying to hopefully create awareness to people, that creating music is an art, and it's actually as important as, you know, improving mental health. You know, today we live in a world where mental health is not a taboo anymore. It's actually very important, and it is to be talked about. um, you know, it's and the space that I'm trying to go with the teaching, it's more so about uh, realizing to the youngsters that you can compose and there is such thing as becoming a composer and you can learn how to do it, and it's just going back to really simple fundamentals, trying to find out the different adjectives and find musical ways to express that, and that's pretty much it.
Mm, that's really cool, dude. I respect you 100%.
Thank you.
And I really hope that you get to go worldwide. I mean, I got a whole connection if you're ready to do that. If
Yeah, so I'm planning to release my course later this year. Hope I'm trying to use the whole, like, Christmas time and whatnot to release it. So I'm still at the works of developing it, going through finessing it and whatnot. Once I do it, I'll definitely let you know if it's happening. I guess then you can sort of spread it out, spread the wings out. I guess it would be nice.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like what you're doing. I tutor myself, so it's really cool to see another fellow one.
thank you.
That's cool. I'm trying to take all this in as well. I wanted to just thank you for this conversation. To me, this felt more than an interview. It felt more um, like I guess a conversation.
Yeah,
Like I'm meeting you for the first time or something.
yeah, that's great. Well, I always like to have conversations rather than being interviewed, because I think it's important that you as a person as well have your own opinions and your own things that you want to talk about. But it's cool to see how we can have similarities, but we can also have discourse. But it's for me, I just want to learn. I just want to see how you are doing things and see if I can learn that and put that adopted into my routine and see if I can be better. And that's my motto: being better than I was yesterday.
Yes, 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 yes. That's nothing but the truth.
That's it. That's it. Thank you so
Hmm.
much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Really awesome.
Yeah, this was insane. This was amazing. It's a lot to go down. It's a lot. I might even need to do some reflecting. Um,
I notice that you're sighing a lot as well. So
yeah. Oh my God. But we gotta keep going. Life is moving faster than we're ever speaking, so
yes.
we gotta keep it. Thank you again for this. Is there anything lastly you would like to tell your the audience and your fans out there? Anything at all that you would like to
I
say?
say show up. Just keep going. Just keep doing it. If you're in that dark spot, know that it's not permanent. It's temporary. You can pull yourself out of it. And we need more music in this world. So if you ever had that itch of wanting to make something, do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for that. Start now if you can. One small thing at a time, and then your world is your oyster. Have fun. That's all I say.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. All right. Time for the fans because I think they've been enjoying this. Hey guys, how you guys doing? You guys still awake? Haha, I'm just joking. I know. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Make sure to check out Sean at social media pages. I followed you on Instagram, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. um, so make sure to check him out, guys, down below in the link provided. He's an amazing producer, so if you guys are ever looking for any production done, this is a good guy. Have about $100 set aside, and that's for any producer. Just have some money aside in case they charge
That's
you.
it.
In case they charge you, usually it'll be $100, $200. So have some money aside.
Yep.
As always, keep supporting the podcast. As always, make sure to follow me on the social media pages, including you. I'm just kidding. You can if you want to. Keep on supporting Rapid Out. Keep supporting us for all we do. We do so much. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As you guys saw, this is a new side of me. I've never been this personal. Before on the show. This is the first time. This is the first time for me. I've never actually been this up close in person before, so it's brand new to me. This is all brand
Oh
new.
wow.
This is all new. But thanks again for coming by. And I support you by got you on Insta. I might do some more later. I hope you'll keep on supporting us and all we do.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. And follow back. I'm just kidding. Still kidding.
No
You should.
worries.
But you should. I'm just kidding. But you should. Oh, yay. You must be on your cell phone.
No. I'm just getting on my laptop. It's all good.
Oh, yeah. Damn, I forgot Instagram's also on laptops.
That's right. There you go.
Damn, I forgot. um, but again, guys, make sure to check out Sean. If you need anything producer wise or composer wise, he's a good guy to hit up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, keep on supporting Rapid Out and don't be idiots and not check him out. If you're not checking him out, suck a dick. As always, I love you guys so much and peace. See you guys on the next one I do.